The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by BowlersMart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Firelake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roto-Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show. And we finally got Stu in patriotic colors. Thank goodness he's finally coming around. As usual, I'm Barnzy. You what?
I think it might be purple.
Nah, my story.
No, it's a bit like that year you bowled the Weber Cup. Remember when you had the purple pants?
The blurple ones? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wearing this in honor of it being close to Christmas, and you still get 10% off over at Cool Whip with Beef Stew 10. You can go over to Beef and Barnzy. Thanks everybody. We had a rush on Beef and Barnzy merch the last week. So if you're a relative or family member or friend is a Beef and Barnzy fan, there's nothing better for a stocking stuffer. So, yeah, no, can't have that. It's the stars that give it away. But good morning to everybody. Even Miles, good evening. He's in Dubai. So, Chris actually has a version of that on the Cool Whip website. It's not the same one.
Nope. I don't know if I still have. I mean, those were basically polos back in the early 2000s. So there might be one somewhere, but it's been a minute. They probably don't fit too good anymore either.
That's funny.
Guy in a little shirt. That's what that would be.
Yeah, I guess you have the Captain America jersey, the Chris Barnes American. So
I have two different. Yeah, one's just kind of red, white, and bluish, more like that. Not, and then the other one is actually a flag type jersey. So, good morning, gents. So I punched up a fate.
Okay.
4 3/4 by 25, and it was way too under over. I think we're missing a number in there, but come to find out the surface is 4,000 of the polish, which explains a lot.
I don't think it does, but okay.
Yeah, I mean that's a way to you can smooth off that polish with the 2,000 pad first. If that's not enough, you can put some lines in it and put polish back on it if you want. So there's a couple different ways you can get that.
So there's the Chris Barnes American flag shirt.
That's one of them. That's the subtle one of the two, but the other one may not be on the site.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, that's available, and it would make Chris's Christmas to see people walking around in it. Nice to see Sean Rash is continuing to follow you on the sponsorship train.
Yeah,
I mean, I think most people were aware that was probably going to happen after the Bowlers Mart deal, but still fun.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the problem is I've got to get with one of the designers, and they were really busy. And me taking the piss out of Louise with a shirt probably isn't that high on the list, but we'll figure something out. On the Fate, I've drilled a couple now. I think it flares a little bit less than the numbers kind of tell you it's going to, for whatever reason.
Yeah, could be.
But for me, anyway.
There are balls like that for whatever reason, some seem to really flare and some not as much.
Yeah, so for me, the difference in the numbers, and I might be talking out of my ass here, so the difference in the numbers between that and the Zen diff-wise, I didn't really think were like massive. So I've basically got them drilled the same. Like it's 051. And then the fate is
50 or 52.
052.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 053, in fact.
Okay.
So actually, the fate, 051 and 053. The fate technically should flare more, and mine flares way less than the Zen does. Now, I know some of it is to do with how strong the cover stock is and how much it grabs the lane and all the rest of the blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But just a public service announcement. For me, I would drill the fate a little stronger than you think you need to. I don't think, like I say, I don't think, especially if you're getting in the weaker pins, I don't think it flares as much as you would expect. I prefer the Cosmos shiny. I think it fits a better gap shiny than it does dull. For me, I don't think it's quite strong enough to be dull. And then it gets a little too smooth. No, Nico, I didn't watch it, but I know I've seen Andre Gonzalez bowl down in Plano a couple of times. He's a bad man. Two-handed lefty.
Yeah, Andre can throw some strikes. So
yeah.
Those are good for sure.
So let's have a quick talk about your weekend. You went over to South Plains Lanes.
Yep.
Jimbo Evans put on another regional, kind of a last-minute deal. You wanted to get another tournament in before the end of the season, so that was nice.
He wanted to fit one in, and he's got the opposite problem. He's actually got more sponsorship money than he has tournaments. So first world problems for him. Unfortunately, it fit in a really busy weekend, and so considering where it's located at and all that, the entries were pretty solid, but not as high as some of the other events that he's run. It didn't stop from a lot of the top guys going, with the exception of you. And then a couple of the Kansas guys went and bowled the holiday doubles instead. It seemed like in St. Louis versus coming down that way. But
it takes more than a minute to get to Lubbock from.
Yeah, and it's not an easy drive from either of those places. So 45 feet Dragon, 30-year-old Anvilane surface, so plenty of friction all in the front. And so it was a little bit tricky. And Ildemaro actually kind of had the cheat code on that deal, as he tends to, where he can throw kind of medium strong balls and spin them through the front and make them really make good moves in the back. Dylan Macon is he's becoming more than just a pretty bowler. He's passed the eyeball test for a long time. He's finishing at the top a lot right now. Yeah, the last 2 years, really, it's been a work in progress. So he was way up the top. He ended up struggling in match play. Kind of that same thing. After you keep running those long patterns over and over, they tend to get flatter and a little trickier.
Yeah, I was kind of rooting for Cody Myers to get the win. Cody's one of the nicest guys who bowls in our region. Mm-hmm. Super nice guy. Him and his wife Ricky are like really good people. So I was kind of rooting for him to make a run. And then I kind of looked at the scores and I was like, oh, Ildemaro is going to win again, I guess. And then it kind of got semi-close between him and Cody going into the position round. And then I never really thought anything of it. And then Facebook showed me a picture of Maldonado with the trophy, and I'm like, "What the?"
It was pretty wild. Ildemaro was way out in front at one point. Cody actually overtook the lead early, and then Ildemaro got on a little run, and Cody got, like I said, they were trickier. Maldi decided to start at 20 with the purple hammer, so one pair was not very much fun. Ildemaro started at 20 like he always does, so his starting pair wasn't much fun. And there was only 4 pairs in play, so everybody had to bounce back and forth to their own pair.
Right.
And so Ildemaro had a not very good start on his first pair, and then had to go back to it again fairly early. And then, but Cody struggled in the middle. Then I bowled him game 7, and I finally got within 30 pins of him, and then he shot 250, and ran back up to win within. It was really tight. It was Ildemaro was leading. Cody was 58 behind him. Sean Lavery was 58 behind him. And Maldi was 68 behind him. The position round was on the pair that early in the round was the best pair. but it had kind of Ildemaro didn't like it. They broke it down differently further right, and his ball just didn't see it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Cody had a couple of chances because Ildemaro had splits going again, could not get away from the 6 counts, and but also every time he had a chance, he had a washout in there, and he had a late split, and so it kind of opened the door for everybody. Lavery was fairly close, had a 9-pin, and then he 4-9'd in the 10th to make it look like he was way farther back than he really was.
Who was that? Sorry,
Lavery.
Oh, okay.
And then Maldi just pulled a real solid game, doubled in the 10th for 230, I think it was. And Ildemaro was last, and he needed to mark in the 10th. And same lane, he'd already split on the 2 previous shots, once light, once high, and this time he rolled out the 2-8-10 for just the 8-10. But
right.
And he doesn't throw it a million miles an hour, so it wasn't going to bounce out. And
yeah,
it's pretty ugly. You don't have to split every time.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to go from 4th to 10th and barely shoot 220. It's kind of an interesting deal.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Ildemaro shot, what, he ended up shooting 180 something with like 3 opens late, so he had the 3-bagger early.
Oh, so he was like way ahead basically of the pace.
Yeah, and Cody had early strikes also, and then had two splits late to shoot 190, and it was just a mess. It was a mess. I think Ildemaro shot 185, so Maldi at 68 behind had to shoot just 220, a big 220 game, and 224, 220. So he shot like 227, I guess it was.
Okay. So, and then the holiday doubles had a pretty exciting finish by all accounts. Again, Andre and Andrew Anderson, they weren't really ahead very often, from my understanding, but they ended up coming out with the victory. That tournament paid pretty well. 10 on top, I think it was 6,500. I think like the team who finished like 4th got 4,000. So it was a pretty nice. Yeah.
It was Cody there. Yeah. He didn't have any problem getting out of his hand when I bowled him. I guess I don't scare him as much as Ildemaro. Yeah.
Worked out pretty good by the sounds of it.
Well, no. I mean, he only used it for part of the first game, and it didn't go well.
Yeah, but he managed to destroy that lane.
Yeah. And that was the one he ended up finishing on. It didn't end up being that bad a pair, but it was for the middle games until the front hooked enough to get left of that and play fallback. It wasn't very much fun. 2 of the 4 pairs were kind of ugly.
Okay, so we've got a few questions, so let's just rattle through these real quick. What do you guys do when you're in a slump? Well, practice. Try to figure out if you're doing the same thing wrong. Like if you have one miss, that's usually a good place to start. Obviously, I mean, I'm not saying anything not stupid, but
yeah,
it like, for example, for me, when I'm not bowling very well, I leave the 2-pin a lot. So then I need to work on ball roll or speed control, whatever. But at least if you can figure out what's causing your, what's the end thing that happens, then at least you can do some research. If you do find that out and you've got an issue, taking a video and then trying to get someone to help you out, Mark Baker might be an option, is a pretty good deal. So if you take a video on the side and whatever the videos that Mark wants, and you send it to him and you say, hey, I have a lot of problems with leaving flat 10 pins or whatever, then at least it gives Mark
I miss inside a target and kind of falls off my hand. Yeah.
And Mark will be able to break down your game and tell you, hey, because you do this push away, this causes this, which causes this, which is why you're missing left. It's not that you're tugging it or, you're
chicken winging it.
You're aiming at.
Yeah.
You just don't give yourself a good start. That's an example. There's a million different reasons why you might do things.
We all have a miss or two in general that we tend to cycle back through. So for me, it's always back to fundamentals and about really body positions throughout the approach, and then balance at the line. And then once I work back from that, then you can kind of get everything else back in play once you're in balance.
Reese asks, hey guys, I wanted to ask a question. Which ball should I get to use on both the sport and house shots? It really depends. I think the Zen is a little bit more versatile.
If you have enough oil for your house shots, the reality's great on sport patterns.
And then a word I'd like to get out of the bowling dictionary is better. Because a couple of people, Adams asked us which ball is better.
Yeah. It's all relative.
Yeah. It's the ultimate it depends question.
Night Road's going to be more angular. They're both on the lower, as far as longer, cleaner end of things.
Yeah.
So
I think the Night Road you can probably go circle the lane a little bit more with. But if you're using it early on, it's a little hard to control. Whereas the Fate, I think, is a little bit more versatile in that I think you can probably roll it to use it a little earlier. And then if you have the skills to like get your hand more around it, you can probably use it a little bit towards when you're using the Night Road. The Night Road, even with the best of being able to go really up the back of it, it's probably a little difficult to control on the fresh. Unless the lanes are really dry.
Actually, there's nothing beats a fresh phase too. That's been a common answer for a decade now.
Yeah, it feels like it's
Cody. I feel for you, man. We were pulling for you as much as I could pull for somebody, but once I couldn't catch you.
Yeah, I pulled for me.
You were going to catch him though. You were throwing it good. Had a huge fight break out in league. They canceled the rest of the event for the day. Wow. Where was that?
What started the fight? Yeah, let's go. I guess nobody was there to say what my man Nick said to calm the situation down.
What did you say?
What's better, Fate, Phase 5, or Idle Cosmos? I mean, there isn't really a better there. This is what I'm trying to tell you. The Cosmos is the smoothest, then the Phase 5, and the Fate's the most angular. Better doesn't really come into it because it's so dependable. The only time better comes into it is when you're talking about the infinite physics, because that's just better than everything else.
I guess out of that group, I would probably pick the Fate.
Yeah. Simo really likes the Cosmos. He uses that ball a ton.
Yeah, he uses it as more of a straight ball. He shines.
Yeah. It's definitely really like a control, like a weaker control ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, Barnzy back on track in league already. 15 pounders, 289, 300 to start last night. Let's go.
820.
Yeah, I had what did I do? I went ring 10, messenger in front of the 9-pin, change ball, blow a 7-10 that became a strike, messenger in front of the 10, change ball, messenger in front of the 10, 9-pin. And then at that point, I was like, it's probably not the ball. I'll just stick with the ball I've just used, which was the Fate. I basically used the infinite physics the first two, and then the first two frames. Yeah. Then I changed to the Zen for 2 shots, and then I changed to the Fate. And once I went 9-pin, I was like, okay, we can work with that. So I ended up striking out for 230 and change for 823. So yeah, it was nice to see the ball strike again, especially with the tournament coming up at the weekend. Starting to feel the benefits when I finish of bowling with the 15s. My hand isn't telling me that I'd bowled 6 games today. So not a bad weekend down in New Braunfels either. Bowled a team tournament with my wife. So I shot 730, 760. So that was okay. That wasn't mind-blowingly good, but it was the 760 was pretty good. My man Vern Adams, shout out, shot 825, I think, in that block when I bowled 760. So my 760 didn't feel that high.
Yeah. How did it feel in brackets?
I made about $500 over the weekend, so better than a kick in the pills.
Okay. Yeah, the lefties didn't fare that well this weekend. It was they actually they had it pretty good for a while if they played in, but once the right-handers got in to the laydown, it got messy. I want to cycle back up here too. This is one of my childhood best friends. Owned a small bowling center. Daniel taught me how to play the gutter. I didn't know how to do it until we ranged it. So, what's your go-to ball out for burn up flat patterns? Your first left and yeah, the purple helmet that we were a city. That was a city team event winner one year. Our team.
You didn't win the Pat Patterson for that team name.
No, we didn't that year. So balls on that are you probably want smaller cores. He has some arthritis things too, so he's got a wrist thing. So he does more. He's rev dominant for sure. And
all right, I'll answer. So when you get in this stage, and you're getting that far left, your main issue is going to come from the over under. So as long as the oil isn't too tight, I think you can look at something like the hustle line can be a good option here. I was just saying, as long as the wet isn't too wet, because you can get really cliffed when you force that far left. But as long as the wet isn't too wet, hustles might be a pretty good option here.
The high pearls don't flare a ton either. That's a ball that's clean enough. It can get a little sharp. Let's try and think what else, because there's kind of been a move away from those smaller core balls, which help out in this case, where you're a little softer speed and you just need it not to hook as much. The only small cores now are actually the urethane balls, and the Zen U's probably a little too early to be playing 30, 25, 30 with loft in the gutter. Mm-hmm. For me, the hustle line is a go-to. Drilled fairly weak. The night road gets a load ways down there, but if it was really burn up, and like softer speed, that would be too much probably down lane. Sunstorm.
Yeah, spec cover's kind of smooth though, so
yeah, you would have to have a little bit of get back in the pattern.
Just once.
40, 45 feet flat isn't much fun no matter what, actually. So, that makes it pretty tricky. I know we've talked, but reach out to me on the side. We'll get you taken care of. Morning, guys. Let's see. What you thought on the pros and cons between 15 and 16? We've both gone from 16 to 15 in recent times. Stu because of his hand and some of his arthritis issue. Me just because I was bowling terrible and I was looking for more options, I guess, with top weights and pins and some of those things. And my rev rate went up a little bit and my speed did help me clear the front of the lane. So tough combination on the regular tour where my rev rate now is kind of in the lower middle version, and but I still have a little bit old school where the ball reads the front of the lane a little bit too much, and so fighting that quite a bit. Stu, what do you feel like you should have done differently in your match against Frankie?
I should have stayed a little further right. I got a little freaked out by the look I had, and I should have probably been a little further right and caused Frankie some more issues. But to be honest, I'm not sure there was a lot I could have done in that match. I just didn't really have a very good look on the fresh, just in general the whole time. So, but yeah, probably using that phase 2 from a little bit further right, or maybe even like standing right on top of where Frankie was. But Frankie's just so much better at bowling that part of the lane than I am.
Yeah. Well, not always, but there are weeks where some guys just have it better. and you have to survive a couple of games. And if they don't let you off on one of those games till you can get to the part that you like better.
I mean, to be fair, he won the tournament, so he was obviously bowling pretty well.
Biggest difference between 190 and a 220 average bowler?
I don't think that there necessarily is a definite answer to this. The difference between a 190 two-handed bowler and a 220 two-handed bowler is probably just how long they've been bowling. The difference between, because the thing is if you're like if you're kind of a stroker, the difference is spares. Like the 190 average bowler probably isn't that great of a spare shooter. If it's with kids, it's probably just a bit of ball speed. So the 220 kid gets that extra couple of hits a game. So I don't know that there's necessarily a.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of times it comes down to how good your bad shot is.
Yeah. And also it depends what that 190 is on. If that's 190 on a house shot to 220 on a house shot.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. But, most of the time it's how well you line up, maybe a spare every other game or so, which is 5 pins or so. But mostly it's, hey, my bad shot now is 2 in, but I still did most everything else right versus, oh my God.
Yeah.
And bad speed rotation kind of thing. So,
sorry.
I'm an old 66 years old, 200 ball average. Speed is down. That's probably one of the cases where 14 pound comes in play to get your speed back up. I'd hang on at 14 as long as you can because you lose a lot of core after that. But yeah, possible. That makes some sense. And there seems to be more and more evidence that 14 doesn't really hurt you that much as long as there's some friction on the lane.
Yeah, I think the main key to moving down in weight is not getting frustrated by not getting the same hits as you got before. Like, I don't think you get less hits. I think you just get different ones. Just gotta,
that light shaker one.
Yeah, you've just got to adjust your eyes to what you see and where you want to hit the pocket, and also think about it. Like for me, I feel like I'm getting 9 way more often now. Well, I'm getting 9 way more often because I'm making way better shots. So I'm probably not missing as many times a game as I think I am. It's just most of my misses are now 9, whereas before it was 9 and 7.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Well, I was just talking to somebody about this last night that when I went on tour, Walter was the best player, and it didn't make any sense. I had more 300s my rookie year on tour than I probably had the next 3 years combined. But I figured out that Walter was hitting the pocket basically 9 times a game, and I was hitting it 7 or 8. So it was hard for me to strike 7 times a game when I was only hitting the pocket 7 times a game.
Yeah.
On average. And so once I increased my pocket percentage, the guy who's hitting the pocket the most wins. And once I started hitting the pocket as much as Walter did, then rev rate mattered.
Yeah.
But until then, it didn't.
And it's really hard bowling in this era now to feel like that. It's really difficult because when you watch them sending bombs across the lane every time and you're like flat 10 in 3 times, it's really hard not to get like, man, I've got to do something else. Man, I've got to get this thing around the corner. Like, but you've just got to like ride the wave, ride it out sort of thing. Oh, someone was using, I mean,
Joker, you bring this up every single show. Were you the guy that started the fight? That's what I want to know. Joseph, I think generally in New York you have a lot of older centers that have wood that use a lot of oil in general to cover up the surface, but certainly demographic areas of the country tend to be more similar. California ends up being real top hat-ish. Encourages players to play straight. You get something. Texas used to have a lot of oil down here. Now not as much as there used to be.
Topeka, Kansas has a lot of oil in the middle.
They do. That's
not a lot of oil anywhere else, but there's a lot of it in the middle.
It's in the middle. There's a lot.
All right. Well, let's just rapid fire a couple of questions because our guest is here. Okay. Would the Cosmos be a good replacement for the Zen? No.
Quite a bit weaker. Yeah.
And way smoother. Speaking of information, like box, or if I want to freshen up, probably hitting it with a 2000 pad.
Exactly.
Is the face still? It is.
It is.
Hey guys, a couple of questions. How does the Infinite physics compare to the Astro? The Astro was way cleaner. The Infinite is a ball is way more versatile. Infinite you can kind of use as like a slightly weaker strong ball, so to speak. It could be the angular strong ball for Chris in that kind of range. The Astro is kind of the medium angular ball. How do you mentally prepare for a tournament? Depends which tournament. But generally trying to understand what pattern we're going to bowl on, kind of dialing your equipment in would be the first thing. And then just really getting your routine sorted.
Yeah, preparing for what might happen next.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed myself too. Plastic, yeah. Good bowling this weekend. Yeah, Vern is a super good dude. So, all right, well, we're not going to catch up with all those questions because there's too many. So, we maybe get time later on to flashback.
Yeah, Phil wants to know if big major changes. I don't know.
I think there's always changes, but they just keep the same name, so then it gets confusing.
Yeah, we've completely ruined any equity we have there. But other than that,
the only pattern that I will say over years, no matter what they've done, that's had quite of a identity has been Chameleon. Chameleon has always been you could kind of hook it or kind of play straight, and if you wanted to play straight on the fresh when you needed to move like a boatload to the left. Yeah. And it hadn't really mattered whether that pattern was like 43 or 39. It played like that. But yeah, just want to give out a shout out to Stephen Keblish, who left Rowlett, but shout out to you. Hope you're doing good. Let us know what your next endeavors are. Me and Chris are going to be bowling this weekend in Houston, Texas. Hopefully we won't be saying Houston, we have a problem.
I personally have a set of core balls that go to every tournament. It doesn't really change. It's just some of the fringe balls might change if I know it's going to be short, or a place like Houston where urethane's been in play. All right. With that being said, it's time. We've had the good, and let's bring on the great. This guy's been a scratch bowler for, I don't know. He's a couple of days younger than Dirt, but I'm not sure.
Hey, he's only a scratch bowler when there isn't handicap tournaments available.
Oh,
he's a hustler.
He is one of the one of those guys that's been a great bowler for a long time. Also been a great proprietor. He's the reason why the Southwest region has a Hall of Fame. Why any bowler knows where Shawnee, Oklahoma, that it exists. He's the reason why guys in the Southwest region lose tens of thousands of dollars at the casino. Welcome to the show. The proprietor at Firelake Bowling Center, a longtime friend and a friend of the PBA Southwest region and the PBA in general, Chris Skillings.
Good morning, fellas.
Wolfman Jack.
How are we doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. How about y'all?
Yeah, we're doing really good. Yeah, we were up at your place 2 weeks ago or a week ago. You put on a nice show, but you've got the main tour coming back this year.
We do. Got a phone call and was asked to have them back in February, and kind of hard to pass up.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty exciting. You've obviously held quite a few events at Firelake. Question: are we going to get back that AMF random lane? Is that going to make an appearance? There's a few right-handed bowlers who are having cold sweats, wondering whether you're bringing that thing back out again.
Problem, you can't give away all your secrets. That's kind of like saying which ball are you going to destroy to come bowl a snowman?
Probably a Nova.
Yeah, it's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, if I was going to guess, the Nova's probably high on the list.
Going to be a little twist this year. Don't be destroying balls before you show up.
Oh God, you perfected it last year. Just oil it to the head pin. You got all up in your feels 2 years ago when we could still hook it.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, you didn't oil them far enough, did you?
Exactly.
I mean, I told you that. And then you said, no, I'll show you. I'll put more down. And there was like literally pools of oil in the gutter. Now, wait a minute. Just all over the approach. So you couldn't.
That could be the year I didn't do them.
No, you definitely did them. You said.
It's like flowing off.
Yeah, you basically said, fuck y'all. You ain't hooking it. And Prather and me said, oh, but we are. There's 20 feet of back end. We can throw it slow enough.
Well, I thought it was funny. I had a bowler literally call me and say, I don't think I'm coming back to the Snowman. And I said, why not? And he said, I don't have any ball reaction. I said, you nor anybody else. Well, I don't think he liked that too much. But
2 years ago, that was definitely true. So last year, that was definitely true. 2 years ago, there was actually some ball reaction. So you actually helped out Frankie significantly by taking it away completely, because he didn't really have ball reaction. And then this year, nobody had it. And he was like, oh, now you're in my world, bitch. So I want to know, are you gonna manage to avoid my team this year? Because we bowled you 2 years running.
Are you on the roster? I thought you were still on the waiting list.
No, I'm on the roster. This is good.
Well, you lost your partner. So
yeah. Now you're back on the waiting list.
No, I'm bowling with Chappie now.
Are you?
Yeah. So real quick fun story. When we so Chris asked me to do the Calcutta last year. Never done a Calcutta in my life, right? And he said, you can say whatever you want. He goes, just get the money in. He goes, you can insult people, you can do whatever you want. So like obviously there's a few teams that like, you know, the good bowlers want to go for as little as possible in this Calcutta, this auction, bowler auction. So, but you know which are the good teams. So like you've got the good bowlers, like they're about to go for a low price, and you just keep waiting and waiting. Like, come on, you've got a bit, and they're getting really upset with you. Well, anyway, fast forward, it gets to Skillings' team. And Skillings bids. So I'm like, okay, 100. Like, who's going to bid Chris up? And we're all laughing about it. Like, who's going to get Chris up? And then I guess his partner didn't realize that Chris had already bid. And I didn't know who Chris's partner was. So he bids. And then another guy bids. And then he bids again. And I'm loving this because I'm thinking there's two people bidding Skillings up. This couldn't be better. So they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like dying laughing because I'd bowled against Chris the previous year and it hadn't gone very well. And the price of this team's like $600 now or $700. So I'm like, you gonna bid again? Like laughing at the guy. And he puts his hand up and then nobody bids. Are we all done? Oh, great job, guys. You bid Skillings up. And I said, sorry, what was your name? He goes, White, as in Skillings and White.
David White. That's right. That's who you bowled with last year. Yeah. I knew who David was. Yeah, but you didn't know.
I didn't know it from Adam.
Yeah, bowled in a while.
So there I was cheering him on for bidding Skillings up, like thinking he was part of the joke, and he didn't find it as funny as I did.
Well, what's funny though is we are the oldest combined age team in the Snowman every year.
Yeah, but you could bowl with anybody, and that'd be true.
Whitey's older than I am.
Twist for this year. At Snowman, no oil, mag pins, and plastic and urethane balls are banned.
Hey, I can make that happen.
Oh my God.
I mean, if anybody expects to show up to the Snowman and have the nuts, they're
no, it's
they've
basically
never been there.
It's the reincarnation of the Red River.
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's pretty close.
It's I mean, and I mean that in the best way. We've had a couple of tries at it, but it never really pulled it off. but you go there, they're hard. You're going to bowl on them forever. There's going to be some times when they're going to be. Well, last year they never got playable, but the year before they went from really hard to they could get pretty good for a little while, and then they got pretty hard again, which is historically that's kind of how it worked at the Red River when you bowled on them for 16 hours a day.
And you're going to miss this year.
I am. They moved back Team USA trials one day, and so I'm still out in Vegas with watching
Boy Wonder.
Boy Wonder.
Boy Wonder.
Try and make the team, or at least the youth team again.
So anyway, talk to us a little bit about the Southwest Hall of Fame. How many players are in now? What caused you to start it? Yeah.
Well, that was the actual idea originally came from Pete McCordick. So I guess in 2012, maybe 13, he approached me about that. And I thought it was a cool thing. And especially for the Southwest region to come up with it first. So approached me about it, was going to have 3 events a year, plus host the Hall of Fame. And so we made it happen. So as far as number of inductees, don't know that I can give you a number. Chris is in the Southwest Region Hall of Fame. I don't remember what year you went in.
4 years ago, 5 years ago.
But Chris was in, Wes Malot's in when he was living in this area. And we do, of course, players, and then we do people with service, proprietors in our region that have hosted tournaments for years and definitely deserve to be in, to be recognized. But we've got the banner, and of course it lists all the players that's ever had a title in the Southwest region, which I think is pretty cool. And then list all the different categories and who's been put in. So I would like to, let's see. Yeah, Scroggins was put in probably around 18.
So I might have been 19 then.
So,
Sure.
I mean, it's really a good thing. And I would like to see the other regions try to incorporate the same thing and almost do a competitive thing at the end of the year, top so many from each region, have an event on their own, or get those that wouldn't normally be eligible to go to the RPI, be able to throw some of the people in from the regions itself. Our invitational, correct me if I'm wrong, is a big event every year.
Yeah, and it's the only region that has one, too.
Right.
My
It's
understanding.
definitely my favorite event.
Yeah.
Even though you had to bowl Frankie.
Yeah, I kicked his ass last year. I'm 50%.
His first round draws in that tournament haven't been not that great for.
No, I wasn't as bitter about this first round draw as the previous one. It's just like
Well, the invitational this year, if you saw the matches, the first round matches were tough this year.
The region's getting stronger. The kids are getting better.
I think they're tough pretty much every year, though.
Yeah. Well, in the top 32, there's not going to be a lot of good draws.
I think the thing that was most amazing this year was how many good bowlers missed. Everybody's a good bowler, but I mean, like, of the people you expect to be right at the top of the tournaments, you had
Anthony Lavery didn't make it. A lot of titles. Nathan Bohr, 28 titles. 2 guys that are automatics.
Didn't Ildemaro also miss?
Yeah. You have 2 or 3 guys that are automatics that missed.
Those 3 guys are pretty much, I think, like 1, 2, and 5 maybe in the points list this year. So right. Ildemaro and Nathan have won half the tournaments between them. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much stronger the region's getting, how competitive that tournament is. For guys who are that good to miss, it's like I say, I think you create something really cool. It's definitely my favorite event. I like the fact that we bowl 2 blocks. It feels like a much more legit event. I understand that it's not realistic to do that.
It actually might be.
It's
For some
kind of
talk.
hard when you've got like 120 people playing.
Yeah. Well, you have to be the right size center to do
Anything
that.
that you all would recommend for format change?
I think there's some discussion about going back to AB, strip and run BA with like 4 or 5 game blocks, 5 game blocks.
I mean, for that particular tournament, the only change I'd like to see is to go back to having the buys. I think,
in the invitational, yeah.
Yeah, I think if we bowl 2
For
blocks on Saturdays,
yeah,
I think it's not unreasonable to have buys. I mean,
top 2 get 2 buys,
probably,
top next, or top 4 or whatever. But yeah,
top
some
4
levels
and
of
top
buys.
8 get 1 buy and 2 buys. I mean, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the top 2 getting like the buy to the semifinals. I think that's a little over the top. But yeah, I like the buys. I think the problem is you get a lot of people who end up bowling on Saturday and they're kind of just like meh. Like Simo wasn't very engaged on the Saturday. Like,
yeah, he was in the cut. He didn't care where he finished.
Yeah, for me,
bowler, so
I wasn't necessarily like stressing over getting enough. I was stressing over having a solid reaction to not manage to play myself out of it. Like, if there had been buys, I might have been a little more aggressive trying to get one. So that's the thing. And then you avoid sort of things like what happened to Maldonado, where his first round match, he qualifies high and he ends up having to bowl Simonson. It's kind of a little bit of a shitty deal. So that's for me, I like the buys. I think that there should be more of a reward for bowling well on Saturday.
Yep.
We'll keep that in mind. So
yeah. I think that the only reason we went away from the buys a few years ago was because they got the new software and they didn't really know exactly how to dial the buys in. But I don't think that's an issue now. It's just Tony didn't want to mess with something that wasn't broken.
I think this first year, he's doing a lot of things that are in place, and like we've talked about with some of the other. I was talking with some of the guys in the other regions, and they're changing things without having any experience, and they're messing schedules up. Right now in the South, it appears that they're running an hour and a half behind every tournament because he wanted to tighten up the schedule. Well, that's fine, but there's a reason why it's not. And so, they'll learn. Guys do. It just is what it is. And Tony's doing a good job, I think. But he's looking at some things and trying to update some deals. And I think it'll be good moving forward. He's been in business a long time too.
Yeah, we're trying to do somewhat of a facelift at Firelake. I've spoke with Michelle and Tony, and I think we're going to change some masking units out and put like home of the Southwest Region Hall of Fame and put some pictures up and of past inductees, and I think it's going to be pretty cool.
That's very cool.
So
that is.
I'm glad that they're willing to work with me on this deal and maybe absorb part of the cost. And it's good advertising for the PBA as well as for the center. So
it's very cool. And the fact that you are the home of the Southwest region, I don't think it's completely unreasonable for them to help you out with that. Real quick, somebody's asking, with this facelift, will you finally spend Barnzy's money on that to fix that little issue by lane 1?
Moving along. We're not talking about this. We're as we pause right now for a commercial break, and we talk about Beef and Barnzy merch is available in the store. beefandbarnzy.com. Get your t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Join us here in a few minutes as we bring back Chris Skillings, and he talks about anything else. Sorry. Okay.
I gotta be honest. I actually went through the entire weekend with no damage. None.
Good job, guys.
Didn't happen when Pete was here. So.
Explain yourself, Mike. Why are you not a fan of buys? Talk me through it.
I see positive and negatives to both. Sometimes I didn't like having buys and having guys get a couple of practice matches before they bowled you. It tends to be the guys at the top can tend to lose a little bit, but it certainly makes qualifying more important to be in the round of 8, and missing a couple of matches versus having to fire in right off the bat twice. So, oops, sorry. Cody with a great comment. The Firelake Invitational, without a doubt, the highlight of the year for a lot of the regional players in this region and outside the RPI. It gives guys an incentive to bowl more than just the events at home. It's great for the region and the sport. Agree. So, what's your favorite memory of throughout the regionals that you've hosted? And you've hosted at 2 different. I bowled at the old location twice, I believe, before it turned into a bingo hall or
casino.
So,
so the first regional I ever hosted was actually in Stillwater. Now, mind you, this goes back to Cecil Cadell days. I'm guessing probably 19.
Did Gary Dickinson win it?
83, 84.
Was that Bill Willard? Was he your champion?
Yeah. So 16 lane house and, Stillwater. But yeah, I've hosted a bunch. Man, you talk about memories. There's a lot. I got to say the players today seem a little more appreciative of proprietors. I think most of them have a general idea of what it takes to put on events like this. It's not just the PBA. We try to enhance pro-ams and try to recoup some of the costs that are involved in hosting an event. But I guess the memories come into play with if you go back to the one that I started in Stillwater and throughout the years, it's the number of people I've met. Bowling is huge in meeting new people and creating lifelong friendships and I guess that's the biggest thrill for me is the people I've met and have stayed in contact with throughout all these years and have really enjoyed it. So if you're hosting an event to make a ton of money, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
So real quick, I did want to pull you up on that. That's interesting to hear you say that the players now appreciate everybody hosting more because the world wants to call everybody a millennial and say that, oh, everybody's so entitled. So it's nice to hear somebody who is an older generation guy saying that people do appreciate what's being put on. And they, like I say, that's just nice to hear from a proprietor who hosts many tournaments.
Remember, I didn't say everybody.
No, you said
it'll never be everybody.
Exactly. Right. And I don't care what center you go to, and I might be wrong on this, but you're going to have pin spot issues. You're going to have differences in lane conditions from Saturday to Sunday. Things aren't going to play exactly the same. It might be 80 degrees one day and raining and 40 degrees the next. And if they don't think
do you know the irony of that? I actually think that the closest that I played this year where the lanes were the same from Saturday to Sunday was the Snowman.
We heard it up here this year from several of the bowlers. And
the Friday practice was like, I know that you were working on the machine and stuff, and I think that factored into it a little bit because, the Friday practice was not like remotely close. Now, Saturday to Sunday.
But I guess it's the same thing. Everybody bowling the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best part about being on one squad, for sure.
But I didn't think once the event started proper that I saw monstrous differences between the conditions. like the Saturday first block, the Saturday second block, and then Sunday, I wasn't like, oh my God, what am I bowling on now? It wasn't like that at all. It was just from Friday in the practice session where I know that Rick was working on the machine. He had some issues with the cloth and he had some issues with something else. And I think that factored into Friday being a little bit of a, like, it just tricked people a little bit on Friday.
Yeah, I understand that. You know, it's amazing. We'll go for weeks. Machines will run great. Lay machine runs great. Pins are all on spot. We host a PBA event. Everything goes to shit in a handbasket. You know, it's inevitable.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the like, people don't necessarily notice some of those things when they just bowl league. And when you're bowling at that highest level and like the 1% makes a difference, then you're going to notice things on the rack. Like, you know, you've got a bunch of guys hitting the pocket a ton of times. And like when weird shit starts happening, you kind of are like that. Also, when people are bowling league, they're there to have a good time. When people are bowling for a living, they tend to get a little bit more, testy, shall we say.
Great word.
And you can also, that's the great thing about bowling and the bad thing about bowling. You can always find a way for it not to be your fault.
Yeah.
Like if you go in with that mindset, that you can always find a way to not take responsibility for it. And I know it's kind of the same way with life, I'm just never going to break. But with bowling, if you want to look back on it and you remember it with rose tinted goggles, you could pretty much find a way, almost no matter how bad you bowled, for it not to be your fault. Like, you missed all those single pins. Yeah, but I shouldn't have left them. you know what I mean? So that's part of it. I don't necessarily think that anything the center does is way worse during the PBA than it is during, league or whatever. I just think that people are more on edge when they're bowling for money.
Always.
Yeah. I mean, GSX pin setters are tricky. I mean, inside of a weekend, they move on you. And so
sure. I mean, there's definitely a couple of engineering flaws as far as pin spots. So you can adjust them one day and they'll change the next.
Right.
So I need you to have a word with our new guy in charge, though.
Oh.
So Tony obviously hasn't been to Firelake as much as the rest of the bowlers. He took out half the good pairs in the building. I mean, what was he thinking? He left 5 and 6 in play and took out 9 and 10. He left 13 and 14 in play. He took out 15 and 16.
Yeah, 15, 16, and 23 and 4.
He left 21 and 22 in play, but didn't bring in 23 and 24. What was he thinking?
It's part of the charm.
Oh, look at it like this, Stu. You'll get a chance to bowl on all of them in the Snowman.
Well, I hope so. I hope I'm not only on 2 pairs. That'd suck.
You need me to hand pick you a pair?
No, I'll be okay. I've seen you help. No, but like, just here we go.
I don't have any of you guys wearing them, but these awful colors.
Easy.
We appreciate you guys wearing those on your league night. So
I'm telling you, I feel like after the ass whooping you got this year, you should probably get the burnt orange ones.
We made a bowl. We continue that.
You know what I'm talking about, Skillings. Don't you try twisting this round. We made the toilet bowl. So did we.
Don't forget, I made the trip.
So did I. So
you stayed longer than I did, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said to Skillings. We were talking about the OU Texas game, and I said, Skillings goes, I was there, and I said, I bet I was there for longer than you were.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Denny's wife bowls on our team. So
yeah, well, I was hoping he was talking about the jersey, not anything else you guys wore together. So
there we go, crimson and cream.
This is one of my friends, an OU season ticket holder. UT season ticket holder. So, yeah, not such a bad. Like I say, there was a bunch of guys who were very who have been snake bit a few times in that game. They didn't enjoy it, even though we were winning. It took them a long time to, well, he might come back. Nah, brah, they're not coming back.
Not this time. Yeah.
Real quick on this one, Chris.
Yeah, basically just taller pins. Pins up 5 by 5 by 5 by 3, maybe even by 2. I just use stronger covers and cores to create that. So it's basically the same as my angular drilling in a medium ball or even maybe even like the dry angular ball. So taller pins, weaker.
Look at this tool.
Man.
My buddy.
Hey, stole your coach. Still didn't make the playoffs. Well.
Yeah. Speaking of coaches with a stellar record, how about that Chris Beard?
I'm telling you, everybody in Austin's so pissed. Like, I didn't hear one person try to defend him.
I haven't heard anything more about it other than attempted strangulation, I guess is what they arrested him for.
One guy said it right. He said, when has anything good happened at 4 a.m.?
Yeah.
Like, your judgment's so terrible that you're still having an argument at 4 a.m. So whether you did or didn't do it's irrelevant. It was 4 a.m. So
the argument happened at 3. And there's still nothing good happens after midnight, they say, right? Or 2. Certainly not after 2. So
anyway, well, I have to get on with my day. I'm sure you do, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting the show and bowling in the Southwest. We really need to find somebody else like you so that we can have twice as many fun events to bowl. Please keep doing what you're doing. I will endeavor to see you a couple of times in the next 6 or 8 weeks. I'm sure Sean Rash is very happy that we're coming back to firelake Bowling Center because he seems to make the show at firelake almost every time. So,
and he does well at the casino most of the time. I think he could be due to lose.
Well, guys who have free rooms at casinos never really do well, do they?
Free rooms?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is guys who get comp rooms at casinos usually aren't ahead.
Oh, no, they paid for it.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It is the Tina's continuing with her Christmas vacation. She is making everybody know that that's her favorite movie. So, the shit is full, Barnzy.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing you next time. Sorry, I'm not going to be at Snowman. I missed that tournament. Here before long, I should be able to bowl with Boy Wonder and give that a go. So, looking forward to that. What's up next for you? What do you got next?
Oh, Snowman right around the corner.
Yeah.
I think there was a roster posted.
There was.
Yeah, just
put it out yesterday. Still have a couple of guys that don't show partners yet, but evidently they're paid, so it doesn't matter. I want to thank everybody that's listening, and I really want to thank you guys for supporting the center. You guys always seem to show up at everything I have, so I appreciate it greatly.
It's mutual.
And we'll continue to do. I've got another quick idea for 2024. Hopefully having a tournament where I can guarantee $100,000 for first place. So, and a bet that'll run for 9 days.
Wow.
Okay.
So if I manage to pull that off, there'll be more to come on that. Maybe I can come back on here and we can talk about it.
Oh, for sure.
Here first. All right. Big
All
things
right.
coming again.
Well, thanks for coming, Chris.
I appreciate all you guys.
Let's see you around.
All
Take care. Bye. So there we go, dropping truth bombs on $100,000 tournaments in 2024. Man, he is awesome. He lives and breathes bowling 24/7. His brain is just thinking about new ways to get us out on the lanes. Like I say, does his very best for the Southwest region, and trust me, he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It isn't. He's not putting these tournaments on to fill his lanes. Like he has to basically shut the bowling center because people want to bowl there. Like it's not.
He's a bowling guy.
Yeah,
and he's always taking care of them. So we got a few of them around our regions. It's been a good thing. So looking forward to next time. We will have a show again on Thursday.
I unfortunately won't be able to make it on Thursday.
Okay, I will have a show on Thursday, it appears. Yeah. So we'll figure that out, and we will see you then. In between now and then, remember, it's Christmas time. Support those local businesses around you, and if you could, the sponsors that support us: Storm, Rotogrip, Niner Global, Coolwick, Bowlers Mart, Firelake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Happy holidays.
See you later. Thanks for watching.